So they shall be engaged in the delivery of certain services, capability building and livelihood projects, and to develop local enterprise designed to improve productivity and income and diversify agriculture, spur rural industrialization, promote ecological balance, and enhance the economic and social well-being of the people through entering into joint ventures and other cooperative arrangements. So under the local government code, the LGU, the non-government organizations, the private sector, covers so wide a range of activities and modes of partnerships and collaboration as to be virtually limitless. So the code further encourages the participation of the private and social sectors by mandating their representation in the Local Development Council or LDC, the Local Pre-Qualification Bids and Awards Committee, the Local School Board, the Local Health Board, the Local Peace and Order Council, and other local special bodies. So the code created the LDC and entrusted it with the task of formulating the socio-economic development plans and public investment plans in the locality. So the local PBAC is tasked to conduct the pre-qualification of contractors, bidding, evaluation of bids, and the recommendation of awards concerning local infrastructure. While the local health board has the responsibility of advising and assisting the sanggunian on health matters. So the formulation of plans and recommendation of measures for the improvement of peace and order situation of the LGUs are the duties of the local Peace and Order Council. So in this code, they are promoting equal representation of all. So the people's participation are very important. The fifth feature and the last feature is that the code increases the financial resources available to LGUs by broadening their taxing powers and providing them with specific share from national wealth exploited in their area and increase their automatic share from the national taxes. So the power of the government to levy taxes, fees, and charges is provided in the Constitution. It is under Section 5 of Article 10, which provides that each local government unit shall have the power to create its own sources of revenues and to levy taxes, fees, and charges subject to such guidelines and limitations as the Congress may provide consistent with the basic policy of local autonomy. So such taxes, fees, and charges shall accrue exclusively to the local governments. So dito hinahayaan yung LGUs na maghanap ng mga sources of revenues na mapapagkakitaan ng LGUs to increase their revenues. And the exercise of the taxing and other revenue-raising powers of the local governments is governed by the following principles. So first, the taxation shall be uniform in each local government unit. Second is the taxes, fees, and charges and other imposition shall be equitable and based as far as practicable on the taxpayer's ability to pay. Third is be levied and collected only for public purposes and not to be unjust, excessive, oppressive, or confiscatory, and not to be contrary to law, public policy, national economic policy. So the revenue that will be collected shall be used solely for the benefit of and be subject to disposition by the local government unit, levying the tax, fee, charge, or other imposition unless otherwise provided. So hindi siya pwedeng gamitin for private purposes or for the benefit of the local officials or any persons involved in public service. So the revenue structure of LGUs have two major sources of funds. It is the internally generated local and external shares from the national revenues, and foreign or local grants. So once again, let us recall the salient features of RA 7160. Number one is the code harnesses the corporate powers of the local government units for local economic development. Number two, the code devolves or transfers the responsibility for the delivery of various aspects of basic services to local government units. Third is the code transfers certain regulatory functions and powers from the national agencies to the local government units. Number four is that the code lays down the policy framework for the direct involvement of civil society, especially the non-governmental organizations and people's organization. And lastly, the code increases the financial resources available to LGUs by broadening their taxing powers and providing them with a specific share from the national wealth exploited in their area and increase their automatic share from the national taxes. So we will come now to the problems and issues in decentralization and local autonomy. Although there are numerous potential benefits of decentralization, there also has this potential risks in such reforms that need to be properly addressed. So some of these problems and issues relate to decentralization in general, but challenges may also rise because of partial or unbalanced implementation of decentralization processes. So here are the following problems and issues. First one is the lack of resources and underfunded mandates. So one of the challenges is the misalignment between responsibilities allocated to LGUs and the resources available to them. Of course, we cannot deny the fact na hindi po pare-pareho ang lahat ng local government units. So they have their own uniqueness and they also have different availability of resources. So local governments have limited local taxing powers from which to finance services assigned to them. So as a result, service levels fall far short of what is required to them. So second is the discrepancy in the quality of local leadership. So local government often suffers from weak local leadership and institutional capacity. So decision-making processes in some units are unsystematic. Accountability mechanisms between officials and elected representatives are inadequate. And there is a shortage of officials with the necessary technical, managerial, and financial skills. So this is often due to the lack of financial resources to attract and retain high caliber staff. So of course, we have also different local leaders. So hindi mo po pwedeng ipareho yung mga local leaders from this municipality to another municipality because they are different individuals and they have different capacities and abilities. So yung mga ibang municipalities na nagsasuffer is those municipalities na ang local leadership ay mababa. So it is said that yung decision-making processes are unsystematic. So minsan nagagawang political yung decision-making, which it should be beneficial. All of their decisions should be beneficial to the community. And of course, the shortage of officials with the necessary technical and managerial and financial skills. So the LGU are investing trainings, capability trainings to our employees and officials. But then again, of course, we all know that the employees or officials in the LGUs have periodic turnovers. So some are elected by term. So some umaalis because there are other opportunities or more opportunities outside the municipality. So, nag-invest yung LGU sa kanila, pero dadating yung time na aalis sila. So, the investment falls short of what is required to our employees. Third is weak accountability, which leads to corruption. So accountability here requires effective systems of accounting and auditing that create trust in the information about how the resources have been used, both of officials to elected representatives and of electoral local government to citizens. So accountability also depends on information being available to citizens in a sufficiently comprehensive form. Lastly is the potential risk through uncoordinated public investment. So public investment is nevertheless a shared responsibility among levels of government. So yet these are not all and not always equipped with the same level of capacity to ensure successful investment planning and implementation. So there are long-term effects of investment decisions, or even the short-term errors made in the decision-making process are difficult and costly to correct. So, for example, they plan out a project na short-term lang, and then afterwards, ilang years lang, hindi na nagamit ng community. And without effective vertical and horizontal coordination, decentralization may lead to inadequate scale and loss in public investment. So sayang. Sayang yung mga investments ng LGUs to infrastructure projects or programs na hindi naman siya long-term beneficial to the community. So yung mangyayari is gagawa at magpa-plan ulit ng mga programs and projects na sometimes hindi naman talaga siya long-term, without long-term effects to the community.